think that that is just a matter of time.
As a consumer, I'm very happy to hear this, but it's not going to be easy for e-commerce businesses.
Like, cook it down to one thing, it's just to deliver quality.
It's just do your job.
That's boring, isn't it?
There has been a lot of big news around AI shopping lately because Google and Microsoft and OpenAI are actively turning AI into a place where people can buy things. So, Morden, can you help us please understand this? It looks like businesses already have all the building blocks they need to start selling through AI. So what is this actually going to look like? As consumers, will we be able to buy any type of product using any type of LLM pretty soon?
Oh, that is a big question. The short answer is yes, I guess. Most products will be available through agentic commerce, through LLMs. That is a natural evolving thing that is going to happen over the next couple of years. So definitely. Now, the interesting question for us, at least in the commerce industry, is like, how is this going to happen? What is it going to look like? What is important to remember, and yeah, how is this going to work? That is like the really interesting thing. But the short answer to your question is that yes, AI will change everything when it comes to shopping.
And we know that in September, OpenAI launched their agentic commerce protocol. In January this year, Google introduced the Universal Commerce Protocol, USB. It's like a big connector for AI. It will help AI assistants understand what products your business sells and what actions it can take. So what can retailers and manufacturers do next to get ready for the Universal Commerce Protocol and for the Agentic Commerce Protocol by OpenAI?
Yeah, that is a good question. So when it comes to, we'll start with the first things first. The Agentic Commerce Protocol that came out in late September from OpenAI is only still available in the US. So many people get that wrong. And I've tried to get like early access and stuff like that, but it's still only available in the US. So for the rest of the world, that is not an option yet to look at ACP in that way. But when it comes to UCP, which came out now in January, that is much more interesting. And it's also a much more mature solution looking at it. I mean, to be honest, the whole evolving into AI shopping and agentic commerce is a very natural step. And to be honest, when I look at OpenAI's approach, it seems rushed and also not as well thought through as Google. Google, they have basically decades of experience in this area, and they know how to do this. Google Shopping Feed has been a part of shopping for a long time. Same thing with Microsoft and Copilot seems a little bit simpler thrown together. So in my mind, Google is winning the race at this time.
Yeah, I saw the video. They basically showed that, oh, you can just type in and look for any kind of product, and then there will be a big button like buy, and this is all. So it looks very simple.
Yeah, the truth is a little bit more complex than that. So and that is the feel I get from both OpenAI and Microsoft or Copilot, is that this is a little bit simpler than the story, the real story actually is. So in that sense, UCP, it's much more mature than the others.
Okay, so in your opinion, retailers should get ready for the UCP this quarter.
I mean, it also plays into the same mechanisms and the same things. So I think that if you're ready for UCP, you'll also be ready for the others. So it's the same mechanisms. So you don't have to choose yet.
All right, that's good. Because I mean, it's supposed to be the only one connector for AI, right? The global standard.
Well, that's what everyone wants, right? Global dominance, all right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and that's what everyone is aiming for. But in my mind, Google is closest to that right now.
So, if, or better say, when AI becomes the main way people discover products, what should e-commerce businesses focus on to stay visible? Is it geo, or is it maybe completely new playbook?
Well, you're onto something there. You mentioned geo or SEO. Geo is, I guess, the agentic version of SEO. Uh, that is one part to it, right? And I think that that is still the probably the most important way of staying visible is to do those same things that you do with SEO in a really good way. If you do the basics right, as I understand it from the experts, you will be very relevant for LLMs and the agentic product discovery. So that is one part if you do that right. And of course, there are some quirks and things you have to do with the GEO that are also important. Um, but then there is the whole thing coming now with these product feeds, ACP and also UCP and also like the Microsoft um, way of doing things, I guess, is coming now. So you need to be on top of that and understand what that means and what that does. So you have to be ready for that in a technical sense, that you are ready to send your data to the LLMs so that they can use the data. When it comes to PIM, this is interesting because in an agentic world or in an agentic commerce world, the product information is just one part of the full picture. Like you said, you need to be able to actually click and buy, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's crucial for product discovery, of course, but then the actual, uh, you know, action of buying and receiving the goods and that whole thing, the order management and the whole procurement or the whole, yeah, all of those actions, fulfillment that happens in the background are also important in this sense. So I think that there are two main parts to this: the geo SEO part, and then the product feeds and the general information. And you have to have both of those in place to be sort of ready for the agentic future.
Hmm. And from what I understand, geo for e-commerce businesses, it's not only about keywords, it's not only about marketing, saying that we have the best jacket, but it's also social proof and it's also good product information.
Yeah, I think that that is also where geo is a little bit different than SEO, right? You talked about the importance of product information quality, actually. So that also has an importance there, and there are some other subtle differences that you also know that geo plays into. That is important, but ultimately the thing here that is frustrating is that AI or LLMs work much like a black box. You don't know exactly what's going on inside them,
Hmm.
so it's hard to manipulate. Eventually, a paid positioning will be available in all of the LLMs, and we've seen that already, right? That you can pay through ads or something, and that will happen in LLMs too.
Hmm. I heard that LLMs right now, they cannot really distinguish between organic content and paid content. So right now it's still easy to manipulate it, and I mean maybe in the future it will improve.
Yeah, I think that that is just a matter of time. That that is like from a technical point of view should be fairly easy to fix.
Uh, but do we know what product attributes or data fields will matter if we want AI agents to recommend our products?
It's a good question, and it depends on what kind of products you're selling. But I think that in general, you have to think of it like more generic. You have to think that like in general, good description, good reviews is going to be important. The fact that you're a reliable source, things like that, are much important in an agentic world. That you actually deliver on time. stuff like that is suddenly just as important as everything else. And I think that in a way, it's also really good for us, and also good for for purchasing in general, because you will have to be relevant in this game. You will have to be more truthful and work more properly. You can't, like, you have like um, these Black Friday pricing schemes where you
Oh my God, I hate
you
this.
yeah, where you
I,
turn up the price the weeks before, and then you suddenly
yeah.
slash the prices. Now, an agent will, of course, see right through that. That is not like even a thing in an agentic world. They will just like, yeah, look at the average price of the, like, that takes seconds to do a thorough price check over the past 2 years on an API call, and it will do that automatically. So it will be easier to see through BS marketing and stuff like that, I guess, through agentic commerce. So you have to be
Mm.
more truthful. You have to deliver better. You have to have good reviews. You have to, yeah. And that is like super interesting how your brand is turning from something that, you know, um, just a few years ago you could just sell your brand on being 007's watch or something. And now in the agentic world, that not might not matter as much because the agent is doing the purchase decisions. You're just feeding the agent with the requirements, and it might not even care that 007 is wearing an Omega watch or whatever. You know. Yeah, I'm just rambling on, but it's just very interesting to see where this is going.
So the end of the influencer era.
Well, I don't think it's the end. I just think that it will change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Because you have to see that is the interesting part, is that if an agent is buying something for you, the agent is actually doing the purchasing at the end, or the recommendation, really. But the agent is just working on the rules you set, or the requirements you set. So what do you, as an influencer, as a marketeer, you want to influence the rules, no, so that is a little bit different than what you've thought about before. So
as a consumer, I'm very happy to hear this, but it's not going to be easy for e-commerce businesses.
no, I think it's not. But I think it cooks on, like, if you're gonna like cook it down to one thing, it's just to deliver quality. If you deliver quality, I think that an LLM will probably see that, or the AI, the agent will probably see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in all stages of everything you do, if you deliver quality, then that will shine through probably.
It just do your job. Do your job well.
That's boring, isn't it?
It's so boring.
Yeah.
um, okay, let's talk about manufacturers. Many manufacturers do not sell direct. They sell also complex parts and different configurations. So the question is, what kind of data and systems need to be in place so that AI can recommend the right part or configuration?
Well, again, that plays directly into the quality of the data and the product data that you have available for the LLMs. The better images and descriptions and specifications that you can deliver, uh, the better it is for the AI to find the right replacement part or whatever. So yeah, that's what it cooks down to, really. Again, quality, I think.
Let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft is moving really fast as well. Last month, they introduced the Copilot checkout. They make it look super easy. With the Copilot checkout, customers can just search, compare the products, and buy products directly inside of AI conversation. So they without even going to merchant website or checkout page. And how is it different from what Google is doing with the Universal Commerce Protocol?
Yeah, that is a good question, and I'm not an expert in this in any ways, but I've researched it a little bit, and from the feeling that I get is that the Microsoft approach is very much like the ACP approach or OpenAI's approach. Um, that seems to be crammed everything into one, and it seems on the surface super simple because everything is delivered from one service, while as the UCP or Google's approach is much more secure. It seems more mature. It seems more composable. It seems more thought through. But I mean, Microsoft is really good at covering these things up. I don't even I haven't like found the nitty gritty details yet of how it actually works, but it looks super smooth on the outside, on the surface.
Also, by now, a lot of people have probably seen the news that Shopify is going to pay OpenAI a 4% fee on each transaction.
Yep.
And I read Reddit recently, and I know that a lot of Shopify merchants in the US specifically are getting emails saying that their product catalogs will be made available in major AI checkouts like Gemini or ChatGPT Instant Checkout or Google AI Mode. So from the tech point of view, right now it will be very possible, right? So what does e-commerce business need to in place to safely sell through AI?
What they need is in place to sell through AI. Well, it is kind of in the open yet. Like, I mean, the first one out there was ACP and OpenAI, and they haven't really shared how this is gonna actually work in the real world, and it's only open in the US. So it's like it's early days for everything for everyone. But what you need to have in place are all the like the good old components of a commerce story. You need to have the product information first, to have the discoverability of the product. You need to have the checkout. You need to have the order management. You need to have fulfillment. All these parts need to be ready. And I think that all of these components or all these vendors are working on delivering that exactly that. Like we are now working on UCP and making a proof of concept where uh, our clients can test and use UCP through Bluestone PIM. And I assume that order management and fulfillment and everyone else is doing the exact same thing. So so I think in many ways agentic commerce or commerce through AI will be a new channel. So I sort of support that, but also, it's also a little bit of a different beast. It's a different channel than everything else. So yeah, I don't know if that was helpful, but it was a little bit of a politician's answer.
Right, to close things out, if a head of product asked you for 3 concrete things they could do this Monday, or maybe next Monday because we're people, to be more ready for AI-led commerce, what would you tell them?
I think that first of all, the basics, that whole SEO GEO story, um, you need to deliver quality there in order to be relevant. And then the second part is that you need to have a plan for how to push your products into the product feeds.
Mhm.
So that is going to be ACP, UCP, and the Copilot. Can't remember what the format is called, but those formats need to be sort of covered by probably your PIM vendor, and that is what Bluestone is working on. So when this is available, we'll definitely be compliant and be ready to send through these channels. And then thirdly, also all the other moving parts of this whole agentic story need to be in line with the needs from these platforms. They are starting to come up with quite good documentation of what this should look like from at least from Google's side. It looks very solid, explained quite thoroughly how like they envision this UCP protocol to work. Yeah, so if you do those things, I think you're good. Or you could just get out your MasterCard and be ready to pay your way into this. Paid advertising is coming to AI also.